When the day fades and the sky turns the color of old glass, the world begins to whisper. The wind carries secrets through the grass, and somewhere between the rustle of the bamboo and the cries of cicadas, a boy named Ren listens. He had moved from Tokyo just a few months ago, a place of noise, screens, and tall buildings that touch the clouds, to the small countryside village where nights were so quiet he could hear his own heart beating. Ren was 10. He was small for his age, with hair that always seemed to be tousled by the wind and eyes that held a strange mix of curiosity and sadness, like someone who had seen too much and too little all at once. Beneath his left eye was a tiny mole, almost unnoticeable, except when the light caught it just right. His parents said he'd get used to the silence here, but he wasn't sure he wanted to. Every afternoon, after helping his mother hang laundry behind their wooden house, Ren would wander off. He walked barefoot through the rice fields, feeling the soft mud squeeze between his toes, watching dragonflies skim the surface of the water. Sometimes he chased them, and sometimes he didn't. He liked the way the light melted slowly over the hills here, not suddenly, like in the city, where night fell behind glass towers, but gently, like the world was taking a slow breath. It was on one of those quiet evenings, when the last bit of sunlight spilled into the valley, that Ren found the cave. It hid behind a cluster of moss-covered rocks, almost invisible, if not for a faint shimmer deep inside. Curious, he stepped closer. The air grew cool, damp, and still. And that's when he saw it, a single blue firefly, hovering just beyond the entrance, glowing brighter than any he'd seen before. Ren tilted his head, whispering, "Hey, what are you doing here all alone?" The firefly pulsed, as if answering. Then it drifted backward into the cave, leaving behind a trail of faint light. Ren hesitated, just for a moment, before following it in. Inside, the darkness wasn't frightening. It was alive. Hundreds of ordinary fireflies floated like tiny lanterns, lighting the cave in warm golden hues. But the blue one was different. It danced just above a still lake, so clear it reflected the fireflies like stars in a night sky. Ren knelt beside the water, breath caught in his throat. The blue firefly began to circle slowly, its light growing stronger until the lake shimmered and rippled, forming shapes, faces, and colors that weren't really there. Ren leaned closer to the glowing water. His reflection rippled, bending into someone older, a version of himself standing on a balcony high above a city that glittered like a sea of lights. He wore a nice suit, held a phone to his ear, and spoke with confidence. There were people bowing to him, smiling. He looked powerful, important. But then Ren noticed something strange. The man in the reflection wasn't smiling with his eyes. His gaze was distant, empty, staring at the skyline as if it belonged to someone else. Ren whispered, "Is that me?" And then he saw it, the tiny mole beneath the man's left eye. The blue firefly circled once, its light dimming. The vision faded back into still water. He stayed there until the night deepened, the air growing cold against his cheeks. He finally walked home. His heart felt heavy, though he didn't know why. The next evening, when the day began to fade again, Ren returned. He didn't tell his parents, of course. They thought he was just exploring, and maybe he was. But this time, a green firefly waited at the mouth of the cave, hovering like it had been expecting him. Ren smiled softly. "You too?" The firefly floated deeper inside, and Ren followed it until they reached the lake again. The green glow rippled across the water. This time, the image that formed was bright and golden. Ren saw himself standing in front of a small bakery, laughing with a group of people. His hands were covered in flour. There were children running past him, a woman waving from the door. He looked very happy. His laughter seemed to echo inside the cave. Ren grinned. That one looks nice." But then, just as he said it, the image shimmered and faded. The laughter stopped. The lake went still. He waited, but the firefly was gone. Each day after that, as dusk melted into night, Ren came back, and every time a new firefly appeared, a different color, a different story. The third firefly was red. It showed him standing in front of a classroom filled with small children. He wore a loose shirt and a wide smile as he danced and sang silly songs. The kids clapping and laughing. The room was messy, alive, full of joy. Ren saw the same mole near the teacher's left eye, the same bright spark of wonder, older now, but still him. The fourth firefly glowed yellow. Ren saw himself surrounded by flashing lights and microphones, wearing a sparkling jacket, singing before a crowd that chanted his name. The world loved him. But when the song ended and the cheers faded, he stood under the empty stage lights, looking small and quiet again. And the fifth, the last one, appeared as the day faded into an almost violet dusk. It was white, so faint it looked like a ghost. The vision it created was unlike the others. There, Ren saw himself old and gray, sitting by a window overlooking the same countryside. He had wrinkles at the corner of his eyes, and a camera rested on his lap. He smiled as children ran through the fields outside, chasing fireflies. But then, the image began to fade, like a dream dissolving in daylight. The lake went dark again. Ren visited the cave so often that even the sound of the stream outside became familiar. He never told anyone. It was a secret place, the place where time folded quietly, where he could see who he might become. But there was one question that never left his mind. If the fireflies showed him his future, where did those futures end? One night, when the sky was heavy with clouds and even the cicadas had gone quiet, Ren made a decision. He packed a flashlight, a rice ball from the kitchen, and walked toward the cave after his parents had gone to sleep. He wanted to stay until dawn to see how it all ended. When he entered the cave, there were no ordinary fireflies this time, only the blue one. It hovered over the lake, waiting. Ren sat down beside the still water and whispered, "I'm not leaving tonight." The blue light brightened, filling the entire cave. The lake rippled once more, and this time the reflection didn't show a single future. It showed all of them: the rich man, the baker, the teacher, the singer, the old man. They appeared one after another, fading into each other like pages turning too fast. Each version of Ren lived differently. Each laughed and cried, won and lost, but they all ended the same way: the reflection of a body still. The blue firefly flickering out, and silence. Ren's breath caught in his throat. Every time I die. The firefly pulsed gently, as if agreeing. He stayed there for hours, watching until the first light of dawn seeped through the cave entrance. By then, the firefly had dimmed, barely glowing. Ren looked into the water one last time, and this time he saw himself as he was now. Small, alive, staring back with trembling eyes. When Ren stepped out of the cave, the world was washed in pale morning light. The dew clung to the grass like tiny mirrors. Somewhere far off, a rooster called, and smoke rose from chimneys. For the first time, he noticed how beautiful it all was, the world as it is, not as it could be. That morning, Ren didn't feel scared of dying. He just understood it, the way you understand rain, or the way a leaf eventually falls. He stopped visiting the cave after that. Instead, he began carrying an old camera his father kept from the city. He took photos of everything, the rice fields turning gold, his mother's hands while she cooked, the neighbors laughing under the cherry trees, the fireflies that came out when the day faded. Every picture he took felt like a promise, a way to hold on to the world for just a little longer. Years later, when Ren grew up, he never became rich or famous or powerful, but his photographs filled the walls of his home. He captured smiles, tears, sunrises, and small moments that no one else noticed. And on summer nights, when the fireflies returned, he would sit outside with his camera, whispering softly to the blue one that had once led him into the cave. "Thank you," he'd say, clicking the shutter. "I understand now." Because when the day fades, no matter what we've done, what we've earned, or who we've become, we all fade too. But what remains are the memories we've made and the quiet light we leave behind.